The following is a Bergen-Fischer media production.
In a previous episode, I told the story of how I met my first love. Part of that story was how I carried my love for her through 2 marriages and 2 decades of my life. When I told the story, I brushed past a few details. I guess the time has come to expand on some of those. I remember being out with my first wife, Maureen. We'd stopped for gas in the town where Luba, my first love, lived. While the gas was pumping, Maureen asked me, "What would you do if Luba walked up to the car and asked you to go with her?" My answer wasn't one that made Maureen very happy. "I'd get out of the car and go with her," I said honestly. Now, I don't recommend that anyone carrying feelings for a lost love handle things the way I did. I knew that I was in love with Luba, and I resented Maureen for not being her. I couldn't be with Luba, and nobody could ever replace her. I guess I'd put both Maureen and I in a difficult position. It's not that I didn't want to get married. I did. It's not that I didn't love Maureen, because I did. It's just that there was this huge part of my heart that belonged to someone else. And if I'm going to be honest, it was probably the biggest part of my heart. Predictably, that marriage didn't last. Enter Allison. Allison had something wonderful going for her. She wasn't Maureen. I'm not saying that one was better than the other, only that I needed a change. When you're romantically involved with someone you see as a consolation prize, it's really easy to get tired of them. Allison knew that I was in love with Luba, but she didn't seem bothered by it. After all, we were talking about a woman who I hadn't seen in many years, so I don't think she really took my feelings in that area very seriously. She said that nobody completely gets over their first love. I don't think she realized that, for me, it was much deeper than that. I'll tell you what you've probably already guessed. Things didn't last with Allison either. Now, out of respect for both of my exes, I'm not going to unpack the details of how exactly the marriages ended. One thing I can share is that I was never more than half in. When you're in love with someone outside of your relationship, there's no way to be 100% invested. Sure, there were wonderful experiences to be had with both of my wives. I can't help but wonder, though, how much better those would have been if I hadn't been negatively comparing them to someone they could never be. It's often difficult to cope with the idea that we can't go back in time. I know it was for me anyway. It's not that my life didn't move forward. The problem was that I kept stumbling along the way because I was always looking back. If you have thoughts on this or anything else I've spoken about, send me an email. I'd love to hear about it. Also, be sure to check out my new show, What I Like About You. Links in this week's show notes.